All right. I think we're good to go. Can everybody hear me? If I could have someone just verify in the chat that you can hear my voice, we'll get started. Thanks, Michal. All right, perfect. So, yeah, thanks for joining us today. My name's Jacob. I'll be the moderator. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and I'll also be answering questions in the chat. So, during the presentation, feel free to go ahead and answer any of the questions that you have. Bartosz will go ahead and bring up the screen here. Bartosz Spiech will be our presenter today, and he'll be walking us through the features of the automated testing solution, Executive Automats. And a little bit of housekeeping right before we get started here. As I mentioned, we'll have the chat activated, and we'll be answering questions as we go along, both in the chat, and some of them Bartosz can answer during the presentation. Also, at the end of the webinar, I'll be sending out the Q&A with questions and answers from the chat, as well as a recording for the webinar also. So don't hesitate to ask any questions. What you'll be seeing today is Executive Automats. It's the solution that we use to do regression testing, performance testing, and as well as process documentation creation, and also security permissions setup. Bartosz will be able to show us all a few examples and some overviews of all of that. With that being said, Bartosz, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute and let me know. And
All right.
feel free to share the screen, and we can get started.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacob, for the introduction. My name is Bartosz Spiech. Like Jacob mentioned, I'm the product manager of Executive Automats, the test automation software for testing the Dynamics AX 2012, Dynamics for Operations, and right now also every web-based platform product. So we are glad to present to you today the version for AX2012. We just came over from session for operations. It will be also rehearsed quite soon. So feel free to join in. Today, on this current session, I'm gonna focus on this controls environment. This is Dynamics AX2012 R3 Contoso. And with Executive Automats pre-installed, I'm going to keep this session a little bit business. I'm going to dive in sometimes on the technical details, but if there will be not enough for you or too much, just type on chat. I will be able to adjust the session to cover most of the needs of our customers. So with that being said, basically, our software was developed mainly for our needs. XPlus, the owner of the application, is the Microsoft Gold partner. We were implementing Dynamics AX29 in the Cook plant in Poland, and we decided to create a solution for automated testing because we had a huge problem with doing this overnight. So we created that for our own purposes in Dynamics 29. Then we decided to upgrade this to 2012, to take the ideas, take the functionalities, and just upgrade it to Dynamics AX 2012. In 2012, we were able to also enhance our software to not only testing, but also performance testing, as well as the documentation, help desk activity support. You're going to see a quick overview of all functionalities that we have. But of course, we do also proof of concept. We do online sessions, which can be driven exactly how you are as you want. So if there is any needs, particular example you would like to see, we are open to deliver that. And as Jacob mentioned, feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. It will give us a natural flow of this today's session. So as you see, we are in Dynamics. I'm in the Executive Automats module, and this module is implemented in AOT. We are using external objects. We are implementing ourselves by 2 XPOs. Thanks to that, we are able to implement the software within 2 hours, and then you will not see any affection, any change from your standard. There will be just new module added. So we don't interfere with the standard functionalities. And what is important, you can record every business process, which can be done manually in Dynamics 2012. Of course, if you are using some ISV modules or you have highly developed modules, they are also be able to be recorded, played, converted to documentation, security, and performance testing. We're going to today move around standard, but keep that in mind for the future. So we're going to touch a few basic functionalities, scripts, scenarios, runtime groups, and security today. I'm going to start in with all scripts, and script for us is nothing else as a continuous business process. So everything what we can do manually, like FreeDex invoicing, customer creation, SO creation, can be recorded, can be scheduled, and you can just receive the results. If I want to record some new process, I just need to click record, set up the name for the process. So we always start with FreeDex invoicing. I'm going to keep up with this. So this will be FreeDex webinar category. Category is very important because you can aggregate your processes, your scripts throughout the system. So next day when I need to run everything which is formalized and focused on accounts receivable or accounts payable, I can easily assign the category which will be created by modules, and then I can run a quick regression testing for each module. So this is a possibility. Of course, you can modify the list. This is a dictionary which can be extended. I'm going to keep that with AR for this one. Automate type, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. Let's just click OK and record something. So when we were thinking about the idea, we knew that people from the business, they have the knowledge, and the IT people, they have the technical knowledge regarding the process. We wanted to combine this. We want to empower business people so they will provide their knowledge from the business perspective, and technical people will be able to use them. So our solution is listening to all actions you perform in Dynamics for Operations, in Dynamics AX 2012. And then they are listed out on the upper right corner where you are able to deactivate some actions if you think that you've done something by accident. And you can actually type, interact by keyboard, by mouse. Everything what you do is saved. So I'm going to just fill the data for the FreeDex invoice. I'm going to post it. Down right corner is the shortcut specified help to help you use advanced functionalities like variables, like asserts. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later on, so you'll be able to keep up with all the examples we prepared for you today. After the recording, I can click finish, and all of those steps I've done, they are transferred to the system, to the executive automate. So I'm starting with menu item, all fixed invoices, then pushing what I knew, then selecting customer, the description field, main account, unit price, and posting. So we see about 18 steps which are reference of the business process, and this is not only description or the way how you can proceed with this testing, but also this is a value of business process optimization, because system just was listening to my actions. He was carefully and in very deep details investigating what I do. If I'm going to take a person from the organization, I can quickly review how he or she is doing the process in Dynamics AX. So I can do a business process optimization. I can compare today's sales process with the process which will be operated in June, July. So whenever new development will come, new regulation will come from the government, you are able to compare the time of the execution from today with the previous one, or with the functionality which should come to the system quite soon. So these will also help you a little bit when it comes to the KPIs on the processes. So what you're seeing here is basically the FreeDex invoice to show you how to replay it. I will compile, compilation creates the first version. This is again for keeping track on changes, so everything which will be changed, you'll be able to see that. So we have version 01. So right now I'm able to click play and execute and run. So I'll be able to see exactly how to reproduce this process. And again, not testing, but on the second hand, you can use it for help desk activities, for training. I can take somebody to show the process, how to reproduce this, to understand the concept of creating a FedEx invoice for this specific company with specific main account and unit price. So I'm able to reproduce the action. And as you know, in AX, some periodical processes, month closing, recalculation, they are very specific, and they are unfortunately hard to reproduce sometimes for IT people. So having this type of documentation, this real life documentation, is very helpful for the usage. After the execution, we have access to the document, to the log file, which gives us information about how much we need to, how much time it needed to accomplish every step. So we have push button OK for posting. We have 7 seconds. We can identify this as sort of process bottleneck. I can identify some other bottlenecks. If there is any info log which is coming back from the system, it is also stored. So as log underneath the post, invoice has been posted, so everything went fine. If there is a warning message or error message throughout the execution, of course, they will be also listed. Maybe I'm going to go down to show you the warnings. An example is here. So company accounts was changed. This is actually a normal info. This is not a picture or image, anything like that. You can double click and dive into AOT and find out which method is giving us this this call stack or this this info. So you are able to investigate this a little bit from the code perspective. All right, so let's jump back. Jump into the script. And so we recorded a process which was based on customer 011. We have specific description, we have specific main account. If I want to change it, nothing stops me. I can change here, click on the drop-down list. I can have access to every customer account which exists in the system. Instead of 13, I'm going to use 13. So instead of 11, I'm going to use 13. Instead of description implementation, I can type service. But we have also other functionality here. We have variables, value set, expression, Excel, and number sequence. Variable is very simple. Variable is functionality which is letting you transfer value from one part of the process to the secondary one. We're going to have an example of that in a second. Value set is tricky. You are able to create a query based on the table. So I can tell the system, run this process 10 times with a query of customer table account num. Each time you run, take a random customer from customer table. Take main account, which will be random from this specific range. So this is something you can do. You can extend your process with the list file, like CSV value, txt flat file. You can also extend the process with the Excel file. So columns and spreadsheets can be very helpful when you would like to import data or have a specific scenario which will be run against multiple rows. Each row will be different behavior of the process. And also number sequence. This is very important. As you know, there are multiple fields in Dynamics. Whenever you want to post a product receipt or invoice, you have to be precise. You have to create unique product receipt. You have to create unique invoice ID. So number sequence will help you with that, because each time you run a process, it will increment this number sequence, and each time you're going to have this uniqueness. So you can create hundreds of customers with number sequence name, with the name which will come from number sequence. Hundreds of product receipts, each time unique, it comes from number sequence. So this is an advantage you can use throughout the scripting, throughout the regression testing. And there is a last thing called expression. An expression is a place where developer can extend their processes, their scripts with X++ code. So I can write in here system date get, current user ID, current employee ID. I can merge, concatenate some variables, and then we can have logical expressions inside of the process. So, for example, I can run the process of sales creation. I'm going to post invoice for the sales. I'm going to take the VAT value plus the net value. I'm going to sum them here. So I'm going to tell the system to add this value to the second one. And then I can compare the result with the actual field in AX to see if there are no discrepancies between this transaction. All right, I'm going to come back to the constant value for the service. You may also see in here that we have two different inks, two different fonts. This one is in blue label, this one is black. Indeed, every time when you are interacting with drop-downs, we are saving them in the blue font. So action like Alt down, this is nothing else like interaction with the lookup, and we are sending to the system information to use specific shortcuts, which is triggering a specific action. This helps us a lot with the stability, with preciseness of the script. I can deactivate those steps, of course, to make this a little bit more simplified, and I'm going to use just edit data field instead of using the drop downs. As you see on the screen, I can move up and down some steps. So if it is necessary, I can rearrange a little bit the script. I can come back to this view and I can investigate if there is any other process which might be interesting for me. And I see there is another free text invoice process, which is including also push button add line. So maybe I can use this part and I can click copy. I can come back to my true text webinar, our process, and I can paste it right down. And right after we have the second line. So as you see, every script is nothing else as a puzzle. The puzzles can be merged. They can create a bigger picture of the process. So if you created already a process of customer creation, I can create customer, copy those steps and place it right here before I'm going to post an invoice. So I'm going to create a customer, then I'm going to take the customer ID as a variable, and I'm going to use it here to create a new free text invoice for a newly created customer. So this is what you can do. You can merge processes into bigger picture just by copying. You don't need to recreate the process. You can naturally reuse them. And reusability is the key word for our application. We want to deliver you plenty of features to limit the amount of time you have to spend to perform those regression testing. All right, so I'm going to compile this once again, and let's see what we can get. But this time, to speed up this a little bit, I'm going to change the automate type. So I'm going to run this BDA demonstration and documentation assistant. So system will perform once again the process. This process will be changed because we will have not one but two lines, different customer, different description. But at the end of the process, system will generate documentation, which will be a step-by-step instruction how to create, how to recreate this specific process we just recorded on the beginning. So every process that you have, if you're going to keep up and record majority of the processes that you are handling in your Dynamics AX, you can convert them to documentation, and everybody who will have a need to understand the process, to learn it, because there is a new position, new employee, they can just jump into the application, extract documentation and learn straight away, or just play it and observe in the system. So after the execution, automatically system will open up the Word file, and we're going to observe in the second. We're going to parse the data from the system, including the screenshots. Of course, screenshots can be multiplied. We're registering right now on each form. I can add an action, so system will create them more frequently. This can be also extended with some personalized comment, some template from the organization, some corporate templates, so it can be much more effective for the trainings and much more professional. All right, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to just close it down. And I'm going to come back to the scripts aspect. Click run once again. And let's investigate a little bit more. I can run this with the service and instruction assistant mode. This mode is again a little bit simple, but it gives you a huge value. I can run the same process once again. It will generate a video playback from the process. So this can be used as the video materials for the employees. It can be for the instruction materials. And this the file is in the XESC codec from Microsoft. It is quite light, so it doesn't have for this process it should be like 2 or 1.5 megabyte, so you can easily send this over email or store this on a SharePoint. I'm mentioning SharePoint and every other web-based applications. Keep in mind that our version for Dynamics for Operations is able to handle all type of web applications. So there's a need to record a process in Dynamics for Operations, in CRM, in Salesforce, in SharePoint, or SAP Hybris. Those are platforms which are in our interest regarding test automation with our new product. And the product for operations is basically the same thing what you see, but upgraded to the web platform. If there's somebody will be interested, we can keep up the conversation later on to extend this topic. Right now, we're going to focus on the video which was generated a second ago from the process. So I can click playback, and the system will show us the video. I hope quality from the click meeting is good enough to see and read all of the data we are inserting to the processes. All right. So one of the most significant functionalities or enhancements for the processes in here, what do we think, is the security access. So we are able to analyze what kind of privileges, what kind of roles, duties, entry points you need to perform specific action in Dynamics 6. So system will once again, for the fourth time, reproduce step-by-step this process, but right now he's analyzing what kind of entry point is hidden underneath every button, every menu item, etc. So this gives us a huge advantage of analyzing what is in the system, so what I can use to have access for free text invoicing, to generate new privilege, new role, new duty, just enough to have access to those elements I've used throughout the process and nothing else. So this is a precise role-based, or we may say position-based roles in the in AX, and we very often within the implementation of the software are encouraging our customers to try the approach and convert their positions into actual roles in the system. This is very beneficial. So after execution of the process, I'm going to jump into security. I'm going to load entry points from our process. And I'm going to compare this with existing security. Okay. So on the left side, we'll have the list of all entry points, included in this process. On the right side, I will have roles, duties, and privileges which are existing in our environment, standard one, customized one, and I will be able to investigate what I need, what I can use, or I can just use this functionality to create new privilege, which will create new privilege in AOT with precise access, also with precise secureable object access. All right, so our process contains three different entry points with secure object access on full control, create, and full control. This is equal to the. Yep.
Can you reshare your screen? I'm sorry.
Jake, you said something?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Is it visible right now? Jake, could you please confirm if the screen is visible? No? Okay, apologize. All right, so um, as you see on the left side, we have the list of all entry points listed out. We have three different ones with the maintain user license and the view user license. So as you know the licensing in Dynamics is crucial, because if you're going to purchase less licenses that you actually have, actually need, Microsoft can charge you for additional ones. And there is a very hard way to identify how many licenses or maybe how you can optimize licenses on your production environment. We want to give you a solution which will do that, where you can actually analyze all roles, your organization-wise, what kind of licenses you may need whenever you're going to record all those processes. And we have business cases with our customers where we recorded over 800 processes, converted them to privileges, then to duties, then to roles, and making a SOD matrix, segregation of duties, and conducting like very precise in case of licenses and the secureable object access to the system roles, and they are very nice to maintain later on, because you are just you have your sort of ideology about maybe not ideology, but you exactly know what kind of responsibilities are held by every role, every position in the organization, which keeps you in a very low maintenance cost for every change which will come throughout the security. The security aspect is very deeply discussed throughout our session. Within the license price, we are delivering 2 days of on-site session regarding this product. We want to make sure that the product is delivered in the proper way, that the customer will understand all possibilities, all capabilities of the application, and he will use it with the best practices of test automation. After the implementation, of course, you have access to our help desk support, where you can ask questions whenever something is wrong, you think you have no idea how to automate something, we can help you with some best practices, tips how to work around with different topics. Coming back to the security, on the right side I have existing roles. I can take the AR clerk, and I see that this role is covering 100% of the area, so I can easily convert this or use this role, which is matching everything. This is enterprise license, so quite expensive, and it contains 1674.71 other entry points rather than what I do want. So giving that will be a little bit not precise. I can take the collection agent. This is not enough. This is 2 of 3, so I should go further and find something else. There are some roles which are customized. They have only 3 entry points. They are created for our own purposes, for the sort of showcase purposes, so I can use them straight away. They don't have the license in here because they are not calculated yet. I have the bot job, which is actually refreshing the license level. So if we'll have enough time, I will be able to show you how this works like later on. I can do the same on duties, where I can use existing duties to understand which will help me to run my process. Same with privileges, so I can pick up exactly what I need. I can use the standard maintenance, maintain Redux invoices, and then I can find post Redux invoices. So combination of 2 duties will let me proceed with my business process. And of course, if I'm gonna reassign it and tell the system, all right, there is nothing which helps me, I can click create new privilege, set up the name. This is AOT, so I have to be precise and don't use white spaces. This is role, it's privilege. And right now, system is creating this specific privilege, so I can jump into AOT, go to security, privileges, and entry points, and I see the privileges. So right now I can share this with my people. I can assign them the new role, new privilege, and they can work on the specific new module. By accident, I've opened up the code permissions, and this is the aspect I would like to also mention. We are able to analyze also code permission aspect. So if I'm going to use the form controls and table permissions, and I'm going to take it from that specific process, he will extract everything, exactly everything what was used, including the form control. So it will be very precise with the tables which are assigned to the forms. We are still enhancing this tool. Probably there is a 1% of additional web methods which are not yet added, but quite soon we're going to handle that. This is something which you have to always think of, that our product is product which is community driven. Ideas which are coming from the community are coded by our developers and delivered with new versions. So throughout the use of executive automats in Dynamics for Operations, you're going to see that there are plenty of new versions, new functionalities coming to help you achieve exactly what you need, and even more, not only testing, but also for operations right now, we are focusing on performance access. And the performance aspect also will be taken in here in AX2012 just in a second. All right, I'm going to come back for a second to the script we've done together. And if there is a need for you to extend it, as I mentioned before, you can copy and paste an action which was coming from different script. If you need more, if you've missed entire segment of the process, I can go to the functions, record additional steps. So I can record in that specific moment a little bit more scripts. 1 second, just for that. Okay, we can try to record additional steps to our process. And just run incremental seal before our webinar, and I see that we have one issue, so apologies for that. I'm going to come back to this in a second after the showcase regarding the scenario in this case. So I'm going to jump into scenario, and I'm going to open up the one I prepared for you. This is the presentation one, and this scenario is a little bit nice to see because it contains plenty of features regarding our application, including Excel files, asserts, including the number sequences. So we're going to observe multiple different features which are available in here. So product number is coming from the Excel file, as well as the product name and search name. Those are a little bit random. System will try to create an item in the system. It will try to save it. This item already exists. This is why we have this yellow triangle. And there is an assert which is verifying the OK button. The OK button is inactive. So if it is inactive, you're gonna put it into the Excel file, take the second row, and he will try to create different other item. So let's see what you're gonna do. You're gonna take the second item. Oh, second item is also in the system, so we're going to iterate until he's going to find some row which will be unique. If there will be no unique rows, he's going to jump out from the Excel, ending the script with error message. So we can actually set up very deep logic regarding the application, how it's supposed to behave on every business process. We're going to see the next one. And the third one is is not existing. We are able to save it. So we're going to confirm the OK button is available. I will be able to create a variant for that product, create a purchase order, and create a sales order. So we have complex transaction. At the end, we might even do a validation of the value, but this is something we might need to record additionally. And I mentioned that we are running right now scenario. So we are running multiple small scripts into one big picture. This is something which exists in Dynamics AX2012. We don't support it in Dynamics for Operations because we see there is a much more there are much more it is better and it is simplified when you use only scripts, and scenario are used only for situations where you want to have a queue of dependent on each other scripts. So this is the way where when you might need a scenario, but we are recommending right now use only scripts to merge copy steps between one process to another one and create a huge processes. There are no limitations of number of steps. We've seen plenty of scripts exceeding 500 steps doing very core processes for the organization, and those processes in the real world they are taking a month or even half of the year, and in the system whenever they are done combined to each other, whenever they are done one by one, you are able to accomplish them in about 15 minutes, depending on the application and the complexity of the process, of course. So maybe because we are running quite good on time, I would like to give a voice to Jake so he can pull up the some questions for you. What exactly you're expecting from the tool? Maybe there are some features that you're looking for and we haven't covered it yet. So Jake, take your time and show the questions.
Yeah, definitely. So just one second. I'll put up a survey question here, but feel free in the chat to ask any questions that you have, okay? We can answer them as we go along. Yeah. And just one second, and I'll get the first survey question up here.
Okay, I have the first question on the chat. How you can check if the value of the screen is correct? Yeah, that's a good question. I just covered that a little bit just by talking, not about an example exactly. It was covered by the scenario itself, which was checking if the OK button is active. This is the same way how you are actually seeing and investigating the result of the transaction. Right now on screen you probably see the few questions that we have for you. So I will let you respond on that, and right after I'm going to try to present you a little bit of examples how to listen and see what is visible on the screen.
Okay, just another second or two. Looks like almost everyone's responded.
Okay, Jake.
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag in my voice here. All right, great, thank you. And Bart, if you can reshare your screen, you'll need to. There you go.
Okay. So I'm gonna come back to those few questions. As you saw before, we were able to run the process which was generating a item, then purchasing the item and selling the item, which were combined used by variables, number sequences in Excel file. There are multiple questions regarding the checking out the output, and this is what I would like to see and help you understand it here. So let's say I'm going to record new process with assert, and with assert or with a test. This is how we call this. Going to set up a category for that also. So I can use the same process as the free text invoicing, and I'm going to show you in here, for example, let's take the DE011 as a customer, or maybe not DE011, we're from USMF, so maybe I'm going to take the US010 as a customer. Can deactivate some actions regarding the drop-down list and the first edit. Then I'm going to use the register variable, so I can click on the field, Ctrl-Shift-H, so I can save this specific variable as the specific value as a variable. I'm going to recall it as a customer ID. Okay, and I'm going to use also currency. The currency will be only used, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So currency, and okay. And then I'm going to set up the description field once again, main account, and the unit price. And let's post it. Credit limit exceeded, but even better, we have more information to our process. And as you see, the currency on this specific customer is USD. What I will do, I will create quick assert for the process, which will check if the currency is equal to USD. If yes, or if it will be equal to Euro, then system will verify this. So finish. So he will be able to proceed and post it. So I have my 2 steps which are new. They are verifying the values. So I would like to check in here functions, sorry, add, and I will do verification, and the verification will verify if the currency is equal to Euro. Then if it will be Euro, then continue. So it will continue the process. If not, then report a problem. So we accept only euros. I'm gonna compile this, and we'll be able to continue the process. We have some technical issues right now with the compilation. Apologies for that. It's not exactly what I would like to show you today, but things happen. Maybe I'll be able to, once again, if not, I will be able to set up a specific other session which will focus on the verification. This is nothing unusual, but there was some small problem with the compilation. All right, so apologies for that. I'm going to move forward with this specific variables, and we're going to create for an example of this on the separate session. And with that being said, regarding the overall maintenance of the environment, we have export and import functionality. You can export every process, every script as the XML file, so you can quickly move from one environment to the second environment a process. Also, we can use our functionality called copy data, copy any data, which is the SQL transaction. So I can copy from one server to another one data by the transaction, and it takes about 2 minutes to copy even 500 scripts from one place to another one. So this is very nice regarding the maintenance of the entire application. We have also security export, security import of it, so you can quickly do a change of the security on one environment and copy created role security access to the secondary one. And I would like to show you also runtime groups. Runtime groups is nothing else as a queue of tasks which can be created. So I can create a stress test for webinar 2504. I'm going to pick our process. So I would like to run Fredix invoice process. I'm going to multiply this task times 100. And then I'm going to create a budget for that. Budget is nothing else as our own functionality. We call this the same way because it does the same, but we don't want to interfere with the standard. I can be notified by the results. This will be stress test, but the same way you can schedule regression testing for overnight or over weekend. So easily you can have some restrictions. You can be notified by failures, by successes. You can set up a client group. This is to run only precise groups, precise queues, precise queue overnight. I'm going to click OK. So the batch job is scheduled. And right now I'm going to run a quick PowerShell script to simulate the sessions. So system will open up 5 independent windows with Dynamics AX, RDP sessions. There are no limitations on number of users you can run. So if you would like to run 100 people or 500 people simultaneously, you can just run this on multiple accounts. All right, so they are searching for available jobs to execute. I can come back to my budget client journal, where I can see that 5 workers are waiting for some jobs. What I can do, I can tell them to take my A2 group, so they will be able to run automatically this new queue I just added. Or I can go to the budgets, where I can see all of the list of tasks which were executed in the past. I can see the results, of course. So if you're going to schedule this today to be executed overnight, you're going to see the list. It was like 100 tasks to be executed overnight. So I can click the one which is highlighted with red color, and I can see that it failed on some process or exceeded the time. This is also something we are tracking. So if the process is taking too much time with 100 people running in, so 100 repetitions of one task, if the time will be exceeded, it also gives you an error message. But if you would like to run right now something which you have in the queue and is in the waiting status, I will just set up the group for test. Test 1. I'll just double check. So let's see exactly we are looking for test 1. So I'm going to just switch up here to test 1, Control S, and you will see that we are running multiple processes in the same moment on 5 different clients. So actually, in the same way, we are able to run over 1,000 people doing the same process. Of course, we are very often not only focusing on the core process, but we have obstacles. We are running in the same moment also some calculations, some month closing, some master planning. So we are able to simulate the real life environment, not only the core process you would like to test. All of those topics we are running, we are investigating and running on the sessions. So throughout the session, with the implementation session, you are able to understand more technology which is standing behind this. You are able to understand much more details regarding this process to be able to do more quality work in AX. So right now I can also arrange some changes. I can, of course, I can run different processes on different sessions. I can tell the system, all right, maybe I'm going to need to force shut down one of the session. So I can quickly force shutdown, and one of the session will be closed after it will execute the task. There's one chat on the licenses. This software is, we have just one type of license for AX2012. We don't have any limitations. This is for company use. You are able to use this across multiple environments. Multiple people can use it. So basically, we are just charging you for the product. And we have also some partnership agreements. So if you're looking for more partnership approach, let us know. We can discuss with you more details how you can share this application with your partner, with your clients. I'm going to shut down the rest of the sessions. So we have basically performed some part of the regression testing or stress testing. I'm showing you this on 5 sessions. Of course, it might be magnified, but on 5 sessions, it is very handy for regression testing. If you're going to run overnight testing for 1,000 processes, you can imagine that one process can take 1 minute, 5 minutes. So it will be impossible to go on over one or maybe 2 sessions in parallel. It will be impossible to do this overnight. If you're going to multiply this times 50 or 10 or 5, it is high chance that you'll be able to accomplish this regression testing overnight. So this is very nice to have one environment which is running 24/7 to perform those regression testing to ensure you that the environment will work well without any issues. And as you see, those rest of the clients, they're just ending the processes, and they will close down themselves as I told them to do with the force shutdown. You can change the group, so if there is a need, you can change the groups of every session. So this is the thing I've mentioned regarding the simultaneous sessions. We have another question: does it have an option to randomize values? So indeed, regarding the randomized values, we are recommending to have Excel file, which might be a extension for your script. You can have a number sequence, which will always be unique, so there is no need for randomizing, or you can basically create your own class, which will be extension for your script, which will randomize the value. But the number sequence very often guarantees you that uniqueness of the data. So there is no need for double checking it, for changing it each time you run the process. And regarding the Excel file, it is also very straightforward. If you would like to access Excel file, just click here, pick the Excel you would like to run, and then you have the spreadsheet values and the columns. So I have customer groups, country, customer, and customer account. And then in here, I have access to the columns, to the spreadsheets and columns, so I can run my process against different customer in the iteration, in the loop, what I can do. Aside of that, you can insert inside of the process some steps like dialog boxes, like push button, like click branches. So if you've missed something, throughout the recording, you can add this straight away. There is no need for re-recording this from the beginning. You can insert a process or an action inside, and you're gonna see multiple this type of tweaks or features which will help you with daily use of executive automates. Because the session is just 1 hour, and we would like to give you 5 minutes to give you another questions, to give you much more information, to gain a little bit feedback from you, to understand what exactly you need right now, what are your needs for test automation, or what kind of other platforms you use to help you more. I would like to thank you for this part of the session. I'm going to leave those 5 minutes to Jake and you to respond on some more questions. And we highly encourage you to visit us in the MBUF session in Germany, in Karlsruhe in May, as well as AX2012 Summit in Orlando this year. We're gonna have some marketing actions, so you're gonna be notified if you are in our subscription on the LinkedIn account or Facebook account. You're gonna see a little bit more what we do. Very often from the sessions from our customer sites, we are sharing some details, some information how our customers are using the executive elements. So thank you very much. I'm leaving those right now 4 extra minutes for questions for you.
Yeah, everyone, go ahead and ask any questions you have. Also, I would like to mention that, as Bartosz had said earlier, we do on-site visits as well as proofs of concept, free trial, things like this. So if that is interesting to you, just let me know. I'll be following up. I'll just go ahead and send out the recording and the pricing uh, to everyone that's attended here. And I see that a couple of people would like both recordings from this 2012 version and then also the D365 version. So I'll send that out. If you would also like the Dynamics 365 version recording of the webinar that we had earlier today, just let me know in the chat and I'll make sure to get that to you as well. Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'll make sure to get these recordings to you. Something we're seeing quite a bit of is a lot of people are planning to upgrade or currently upgrading to Dynamics 365, and with Dynamics 365, the continuous delivery, it's almost necessary to have automated testing. So we're seeing that. Another thing to know is the way this is licensed as well is you can use both the 2012 version and the D365 version at the same time. This is not a problem. I see a question, Bartosz, about the resource support section with user manuals. And
Indeed,
yeah,
we have the we are able to deliver you manuals as well as the support address where you can understand and investigate a little bit more. All of those we are delivering after some NDAs to not share quite widely the manuals to the market. We just want to keep up it discreet with our customers.
no problem, Shemislav.
So we appreciate your time today. Thank you for attending. Thank you for spending the hour time with us today. We highly invite you for on-site session or joining us with the summits to learn more, to understand the concept, to see how we can help you with the test automation. Have a great evening today, and look forward to hear you soon.
And I will hang around for a couple of more minutes. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask. So I'll stay on here for another 10 minutes, and that way you don't have to rush or anything. Bartosz, thank you for the presentation. Good job. Very clear. I think everybody could see what was being done quite clearly.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate your help also today. So look forward for other webinars. See that we have quite a tight schedule with webinars, so quite soon we're going to be able to show you much more details, much more functionalities regarding not only test automation, but also RPA and more features.
Yep. And again, free trial as well as on-site visit, free as well. We come to you and spend a day with a workshop, 4 to 6 hours, and give you really good overview, actually in-depth view of the tool, and help you evaluate it that way. And actually, I'll go ahead and I think that I don't see anyone typing or anything, and so I'll go ahead and close this out so that way we can get the survey out to everyone so they can see that.
All right.
Thank you, Bart, and I'll talk to you in the morning.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night, everyone.